Hello friends, I am Chevy. Welcome to my shed. How are you? How's life in your world? How's things where you are? I hope it's all great and fantastic. Everything here is wonderful. I hope you had a great weekend and great holidays and all that sort of stuff. I did. I had a great time. I relaxed a lot this weekend. I spent a lot of time in a chair relaxing, which is something that I very rarely do. And it was good. And I got to, kind of work on my little writing project and just kind of chill and spend time with family. And the other thing that I finally did was watched the first episode of The Wheel of Time. I think 4 episodes are out now. I've only watched the first one so far. Em and I planned on watching it together, but she wasn't around yesterday, so I figured I would take the chance to watch it because I knew I was going to watch it more than once anyway. I watched it because I wanted to talk about it. I saw that I have avoided all of the reviews and that sort of stuff, but I've seen a lot of headlines about disappointments and that sort of stuff. And so I wanted to watch it just so I could talk about my disappointments. And I don't really have any. For a first episode of a show this big, or that could be this big, or that might be this big because it's 14 books of source material, I was not disappointed at all. I also, however, came into this knowing that the TV show was not going to be representative of the books. And I think that's something that you kind of have to assume when there's adaptations. I think the only TV show or movie... I shouldn't say the only. The TV show / movie that I think nailed the source material the closest is The Expanse. I think they kind of just went chapter by chapter. They mixed up a little bit of the first 2 books because they needed to bring some characters in season 1 that weren't in the first book. But other than that, that's super close. The first episode of The Wheel of Time is dramatically different than the book. Like, completely different. Other than the characters' names. And I'm okay with that. Like, I really am. They aged up the characters. I'm totally fine with that. The reasoning is that in the books, they're kind of late teens. I think Rand is 17 in the original book. So they're kind of teenagers, coming to age kind of stuff. And it sets up this kind of teen love interest awkwardness in the books that is just kind of not needed for the story. So we aged up the characters. We in the very first episode showed them being sexual creatures, and it's fine. Like, okay, I have zero problem with that. The Dark Spawn that we got to see, the Trollocs and the Myrddraal, wonderful. I thought they really nailed that source material. The rest, completely different. The opening, I was kind of on. I think it was neat that in the opening you get to see some Red Sisters chase down Logain, and we hold him somehow. And I thought it was really neat. In that scene, and I think there was another scene, I don't quite remember off the top of my head, where maybe Moiraine was using some of the One Power. And they don't show it to us. Like, as the viewer, we're not seeing it. And I thought that was really interesting because I think that's how it would appear to anybody who's not using Side R or Side N, right? Like, so if there's magic being used and you're not sensitive to it, you don't see it. It just, something happens and you go, whoa, what was that, right? Kind of like, the Red Sister kind of does a little hand wavy motion, and it was kind of like Darth Vader choking somebody out. You're just like, oh, I don't know what happened. But later on, when we are viewing a scene through the eyes of a character, or viewing the scene through, maybe not the viewpoint of a character, but through that character's actions, then you get to see the swirling, energy that is the One Power, and I thought that was really cool. That was really, really well done. So, because characters are aged up, their stories were changed pretty dramatically. Now, Tam and Rand's story, okay, they kind of set up the idea that they lived out from Edmund's Field and kind of came in for Beltane and then went back. But they didn't really, like, even as somebody who's read the books and knew that that's what was going on, there was all this excitement at Beltane. They're all having this party, and then there's these attacks, and then we cut later on to, in the attacking sequence, the brutal ending sequence, we cut to Rand and Tam in their house, but it was like, wait, where are they? Right? Like, I thought maybe they just stayed in town that night or something, but no, they were back home and got attacked. And then Rand's like, I'm gonna get you to Nynaeve, and so that was a little different, but I think it kind of nailed the points. Like, it set up giving Rand the sword, which needed to happen. It set up the idea that Tam is somebody that is not just a shepherd from the Two Rivers, and it kind of put that spark in Rand's mind. But overall, I thought it was fine. Like, the characters all looked great. The acting was okay. Like, I've always said that first episodes suck. Universally, first episodes are just bad because the actors don't know their characters. I've always thought they should film the first 3 episodes in reverse order, so that the first episode is the character, like the actor has had some time to live with that character, and maybe their presentations would be better. There was a lot of really weird spoken presentation, like just kind of awkward characters in the first episode. I think that's really universal to every show, so I can look past some of that. I personally wasn't like a huge fan of showing Moraine and Lan bathing together. I thought that was a little... In the books, they're this very... the society that exists is this very, like, male versus female society, right? Like, there's things you don't do, and there's these proper procedures that you go through to court a woman, and, and so showing that as this casual, like, they just hang out together naked and take baths together, even though they're not in a sexual relationship. I mean, I guess as a viewer, maybe they're setting that up. Like, you don't know that he's a warder, and you don't know what that means. So maybe that's kind of setting that up. But it felt also like a little bit out of time and space for that era, right? Or that place, because they don't really do that in the books. Like, there's this very rigid separation between male and female, and this very courtly, proper way of doing things, and they just kind of threw all that out the window, and made it a little bit more modern, I guess. They modernized male-female relationships, and I'm fine with that, I think. But it was kind of, when it happened, I was like, I don't really think that's the way that would go down. But whatever. Obviously, Moraine and Lan have a very intimate relationship on a lot of different levels, so it's fine. The ending was probably the weakest part of the episode, I thought. The opening and the ending. I thought the opening was completely unnecessary. It was weird. It was this awkward chase of a guy that we have no concept of what he's doing or why. As the viewer, we're just kind of watching some women dressed in red tell this guy that they're the best and he's garbage and he's going crazy, and you're like, okay, that doesn't mean anything to me. And by the end of the episode, it still doesn't mean anything to me. Maybe it will by the end of the second or third episode, but for our first episode open, it was just kind of weird. I think they should have spent more time explaining... I think they should have set more time up giving Rand a reason to stay, so that when the ending happened, because the ending is the weakest part of that episode. The ending was just kind of like, all right, we got 2 minutes left. We have to get, all 5 of these people out of Edmund's Field. What do we do? And it was like, I just, have torches coming down a hillside, and everybody will run, and it'll be okay. And it felt kind of super, like, these people were like, okay, I guess I have to leave. Like, you've lived your whole life in this town that just got massacred, and this lady shows up and says, hey, we got to go. And they're all like, all right, no problem, and they get on their horses and ride off. That was the weakest part of the episode. I thought that was really not well done. But at the same time, in the grand scheme of the story, them leaving Edmund's Field turns out to be a even in that first book, within just a few chapters, they're already like, I don't really give a shit about going home. Like, you get that feeling from those characters. Like, they've left, and they still, Rand holds on to... I'm a shepherd from Edmund's Field for a very long time. I'm a shepherd from the Two Rivers. Like, that's his entire, mantra in life. But he doesn't really think about going back home. Like, he dreams about it, but they all go, yeah, that's not going to happen. Everybody knows that, right? So I guess making it like a less, I don't know, maybe people have said they were really kind of put out by Lan and Moraine's entrance into the tavern when Moraine's just like, I need a room. And they're like, okay, Aes Sedai. And everybody's like, oh my God, she's an Aes Sedai. Yeah, that was really out of character and awkward. But maybe that's the setup for the ending. Like, everybody respects her because she's this witch. And so when she says we have to go, they go, all right, well, I guess you have to go. Get out. Right? And maybe that was supposed to be the tie-in, but if that was the case, it didn't really work. It was like all these 4 kids who just saw their entire town get massacred were just like, all right, I guess we have to go, and they leave. That was weird. Other than that, I mean, I really enjoyed the episode. I thought it was fun. I thought it was engaging. I really enjoyed seeing the town. I enjoyed seeing all of the characters that I've envisioned in my head for all these years, and I really enjoyed the diversity. I think that's something that I've wanted to peek at with my own writing. Going back and rereading The Wheel of Time this year, I realize now, something I didn't realize when I was a kid, is that Robert Jordan never really says, this person's black, this person is Mediterranean, this person, like, he just gives you brush strokes and lets your mind's eye paint the picture. And that's something I want to do with the stories that I create. So when I was a kid, reading these books for the first time and not really thinking about the area of the world that they're in or what everybody was white in my head, right? Like, they're all just white people because that was my perspective. But now rereading the books this year, I realize that he really does talk a lot about the darker skin or looking at seeing that Rand isn't tanned like everybody else. And so it was really good to see just how diverse the cast is, and I love it, right? I really love that. It really gave a feeling that the world is similar to ours, but much more, I don't want to say intermingled. That's weird. That's a weird way of saying it. Being that this story is a segment of the wheel that has yet to come and that also has come, I like that that there's more of a diversity is a just not even a thought, right? Like that everybody just I don't know what I'm trying to say there. That's kind of a bad thought. Let's not go down that path. Oh. And speaking of, because this is a past and a future for us, right? I don't know that anybody's hit on it, but there's the one shot, I don't know where it's supposed to be, where you're looking at this canyon, and there's all of these spires in this canyon. And if you look, those spires I think are supposed to be like buildings, with like floors and windows, like ancient buildings that are still standing that are now covered in rocks and trees and whatever. I thought that was a cool touch. That was very like, what is the Terry Brooks's Shannara, Sword of Shannara. I really thought that was cool. Something that if you watch it and you pay attention, you go, oh, that looks like an office building. I think it was an office building. I'll have to go back, when I'm watching it with M again, I'll have to watch for that, because I felt like, oh, that was a neat, interesting way to say, this is kind of, this is Earth at some point. There you go. Episode 1 of Wheel of Time. I really don't plan on doing like an episode-by-episode discussion, but if you want me to, let me know, and I'll keep doing them. And if you want to have a talk about it, we can do that in the comments here, or you can hit me up on social media. I have links in the description of all my videos. Thank you for being here as always. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing, being amazing friends, wonderful people. I really appreciate you. And I'll see you again tomorrow. Today's word you should know to sound smart is interpolate. It is a verb meaning to introduce something, often something unnecessarily, between other things or parts. Dexter could not help but to continuously interpolate unnecessary criticism in the discussion at the latest Parisian designs. Interpolate. Interpolate. Can it be like physically Can you? It says to introduce something often unnecessary between two other things or parts. Can you interpolate? I guess you can. I feel like I interpolate a lot of complexity into things that really shouldn't be difficult.